Hey guys, welcome back to the Creating Strength podcast. I am your host, Lauren Andrea Kennedy. I'm a learning and leadership strategist, and I specialize in helping people become catalysts of transformation because you deserve to be the best version of you possible. And everyone is a leader in one way or another, and I help you make that transformation and reach all of your goals, really. So today I want to talk about something that I got to thinking about. It might be a little controversial, but what I want to do is talk about the 4 types of leaders out there that are incredibly toxic to the workplace. And I guarantee you, 100% guarantee you, you have worked with one, if not all 4 of these people in your lifetime. We're going to talk about it. I'm going to explain who they are, why is it so bad, and then how do you actually deal with it, okay? So there is what I call 4 types of leaders, but really it's behavior. Leadership is made up of behaviors and actions on a daily basis. You know, people, if you follow me at all, I feel like I talk about this a lot. I have 2 schools of thought on leadership. One, you have one that's actually granted to you by promotion, and it's your responsibility to be the best leader that you can be because you have the title, people are looking at you. But then you also have the type of leadership where you don't need a title. It's something that you just have. Like if you're a parent, you're a leader. In one way or another, you are a leader. And so these people that get into leadership by their title, it's those behaviors and actions day in and day out that are going to determine whether or not, so let's say they're a manager or if they're a director, what they do on a daily basis is going to determine whether or not their team or just followers in general say, hey, you're a leader. We get that granted to us by other people. We don't get to say that we're a leader unless you have a follower who's already said that. So like I said, being a parent, if you're a spouse, you're a leader in one way or another. It just depends on the arena that you're in. So today, I want to discuss with you the behaviors and actions that are so toxic to the workplace. And it's something like, I know we can't totally do away with it, but the worst thing in the world is when it doesn't get addressed. I've dealt with this recently where there's obviously bad behavior all around, but it just gets ignored. And so the 4 types of toxic behavior are, we're going to start with number 1 here. I call this person Mr. Mrs. Ego. This type of leader is always right. They always have something to say. They're driven by their lack of confidence. They find it hard to see beyond themselves because everything's always about them. Me. How can this benefit me? And they justify their poor leadership with a lack of self-awareness. Oh, I just didn't know. But they're also a little lazy. And their team members end up being afraid to speak up because if and when they do, Mr. or Mrs. Ego is always right. So they don't listen. We've all worked with that person who it's Mr. Right. And anytime you're in a meeting, they always have something to say, but they're not actually adding value to the conversation. These people are super frustrating because it stalls collaboration. There is no hearing of other ideas because they've already got their mindset. And people want to be seen, heard, and feel valued. And so Mr. and Mrs. Ego do the exact opposite. Nope, I'm the most important person in the room. I've been doing this longer than you, whatever the justification may be. Okay. Number 2, I have coined this sneaky snake. And I guarantee you've worked with someone like this. And unfortunately, this is going to sound super sexist. It's probably a woman. It amazes me how many women out there are not supportive of other women. But much like the ego, Mr. and Mrs. Right, the sneaky snake is never wrong. And if they are wrong, they're certainly not going to admit it. They're the type of leader. Look, they are the type of leader that believes in playing games. They think that there's a political landscape to working for corporate America, which to a sense that there is, but it's only made that way because people insist on playing a game. But they're really driven by their lack of confidence. They are seriously suffering from imposter syndrome, and this is their lack of emotional intelligence speaking. They don't know how they're coming across. And if they do, they lack empathy. And so they just don't care. They definitely believe there is a game to be played. There's winners and losers. And when no one is around to witness their horrific behavior, that is when the sneaky snake, their true colors shine. This one is super tough to deal with. I'm going to talk towards the end about how you actually deal with this. Before I get to that, I'll just tell you right now, the best way I have found to deal with it is head on. Don't go talking to all of your coworkers or the next leader to the next leader and say, hey, so-and-so did this, so-and-so did this, and really get all up in your feelings about how they're making you feel, because this person can ignite some serious anger because no one's seeing what's going on. And then if it's not getting addressed, it's just so incredibly toxic. So one of the best things that you can do is go knock on that person's office door and say, hey, I'd like to talk about something. And from your perspective, what's inarguable is how that person is making you feel by certain actions. So being very specific with feedback. The problem is it can be scary to do that because you know that if they twist around your words, so I would recommend letting your boss know what you're going to do or have somebody else in that room so that you have a witness. This is the kind of person you want to document. You want to make sure that you have other eyes on it so it's not your word versus theirs, because that can be dangerous territory, okay? Number 3 is the hibernating bear. All right, so I'm incredibly proactive and strategic. I love taking action on stuff. And so to see someone sitting back, not doing anything, it's really frustrating for me. But the hibernating bear is the type of person that's going to sit in their cubicle, probably like this, or they're going to be sitting in their office and be in meetings all day. And when you bring them issues, it's okay, I'll take care of it. And then you never hear back. They're always in their office. They never want to come out and talk to the actual people. They know that horrible things are going on. They know the sneaky snake exists, but they either don't know what to do about it, or they just absolutely cannot address things head on because it's too scary for them. They don't know how. They don't have the courage to do it. And so it's easier to hibernate in a cave than it is to face problems head on. This type of leader can be absolutely wonderful. However, because they hibernate and don't address problems head on, they let fires get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and the sneaky snake and Mr. Ego take over, honestly, because the hibernating bear isn't doing anything. So number 4 is, everybody has seen The Wizard of Oz, got my inspiration from The Wizard of Oz, is the cowardly lion. So these leaders actually get most of their role right. They do truly care. I do think the hibernating bear cares as well. But the thing that they lack is the ability, again, to take action. So much like the hibernating bear, they don't have an ability to give direct and clear feedback to their followers that they so desperately need. They don't want to think of new ideas, be innovative, and they don't know how to encourage that kind of collaboration and innovation. They tolerate, again, bad behavior far too long because they're nervous, they're scared, they kind of get easily walked over. The failure to take action and provide feedback in a way that highlights their followers, it kind of leaves these people wondering, what am I doing wrong? Instead of trying to fix it. They're not afraid to actually ask for help, but instead of hibernating, they're a little bit more scared, if you will, of trying to take that action. And so someone like Mrs. Ego could easily walk all over a cowardly lion. So it's funny, with these 4 types of behaviors, these leaders, you'll see, like Sneaky Snake and Mr. or Mrs. Ego, they will override their lack of confidence with that bad behavior, which can overshine your hibernating bears and your cowardly lions. Sometimes all it takes is, we all lack confidence in one way or another, but some people are better at faking it than others. And some people, when they lack confidence, they take it out in different ways. And so either they're going to hibernate in their office or they're going to overcompensate. So you got to really watch out for these behaviors and understand, like, how is it affecting your day to day and how is it affecting you? And so what does this do for employees? So if you are, head of an organization, if you're listening to me today, first of all, thank you. But second of all, I want to talk about what does this actually do? Low morale and disengagement. When you ignore these behaviors and you've got these people running around your company, your people are becoming disengaged more and more by the day, because these are the type of people that truly are irritating. They piss you off. And it's because, one, they're absolutely not afraid to interrupt anyone at any time. That's more the sneaky snake. Having behavior that is just horrible and it gets rewarded, it feels awful, especially to those high performers. So when bad behavior goes unchecked, all right, it creates a hostile work environment. Hear that word, hostile, which can lead to employees feeling unhappy, unsupported, and ultimately disconnected from their jobs. That leads to a decrease in productivity. Hands down, disengaged employees are less productive. They're looking for other jobs and they are not trying to go above and beyond. They put in minimal effort, or their focus is diverted. It's negative, that kind of a thing. Increase in turnover. Your high performers are absolutely going to leave, okay? And then health problems. I've experienced this myself, struggling with mental health and anxiety. Chronic stress from a toxic work environment can have a real impact on your employees' health. That is why I believe so heavily in organizations showing up for their people, not ignoring this type of bad behavior, because we spend 85% of our life at work. So you just can't ignore it. If you're wondering why you have high turnover, look at your bad behavior. What are you ignoring? Especially if these people are bringing in sales and revenue, that's when I find that it gets ignored because it's justified because they are revenue generating. Now, for your organization, you're going to lose a lot of talent, a lot of great talent. It's going to be costly. Your reputation is going to be damaged. There's going to be people out there that are not going to have nice things to say, legal issues, and just inefficiencies across the board, because your employees are going to have to change how they work. Let's take the sneaky snake, for example. Your employees are going to have to adjust how they work on a daily basis and the type of character that they bring to the, not character, but they're going to have to shift how they act. They're going to have to change their character around a little bit. And that feels great, like not great. We want to be authentic at work. We don't want to hide how we're feeling, but we often feel like we have to for fear of repercussion, which is just a lack of psychological safety. And by the way, the sneaky snake actually, instead of trying to foster psychological safety, they actually do the exact opposite in the worst possible way. So fear-based leadership, making people cry, that kind of a thing, absolutely awful. So what I want to do is talk you through how to deal with this. Now, I'm always a tackle it head-on kind of person. Give people direct feedback. Don't hide in your office. Actually go to the person if you have an issue, okay? So let's talk about Mr. and Mrs. Ego. Gather the evidence, all right? Document, keep a record, and when the opportunity arises, politely present examples of, hey, when you do this, it makes me feel like this, but give an exact detailed scenario to them so they can become more self-aware of what they're doing. Now, the sneaky snake, transparency is key. I want you to keep detailed notes of your experiences and interactions, and share them with your trusted colleagues, your leader. If they are your leader, go to someone that you can trust that is a leader. And slowly work on exposing them. If you need to talk to HR, absolutely 100% do that. But documentation is key, and don't be afraid to go directly to this person with, again, specific examples. The hibernating bear needs a gentle nudge, some respectful feedback. Again, face things head on, give direct feedback. Don't let them retreat back into their cave. Give them gentle nudges, push them, say, I bet it would be great if, and just be their coach in their corner. They're probably hibernating for a reason. So don't point fingers, just be someone right by their side, okay? Now, the cowardly lion offers some help. If you see them struggling, figure out ways to collaborate with them and offer help. They may not be asking for it, but approach them with concerns and also solutions. Always offer solutions, okay? So, toxic workplaces are just that. They're toxic and they're super, super costly. So if you have watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. Make sure you subscribe to my channel. And hey, I want to know, have you worked with any of these leaders in the past? I'd love to hear about it. Please comment below. Tell me if you agree, disagree, or maybe you have a fifth one to add to that list. So, and don't forget to subscribe to my newsletter where you'll get all sorts of great information, education on leadership tips and resources. I do a Transform in 60 coaching, all of my best stuff, plus some behind the scenes stuff from my podcast. So click on that link and subscribe to my channel and my newsletter. And until next time, keep creating your strength.